welcome to Of Swords and Soulmates, a podcast where we read, watch, and discuss romantasy and romance-adjacent stories. I'm one of your hosts, Mari, and with me I have Kelly.
Hey everyone, it's Kelly. We also have Ashley.
Hi guys, it's Ashley. We also have Jonathan.
Good evening, everybody. It's JP. I don't think I'm the last one here tonight, though.
No, we actually have a very special guest today.
Surprise! It's me. It's J.R. Ward. By the way, am I allowed to cuss? Because
Yes.
I'm going to do everything I can not to, but yeah.
No,
so,
it's fine.
There you go.
No.
Let it all out.
So,
Yeah. It's all adult here.
Yeah.
And also, I've been to one of your talks,
so
so
know.
well aware. Yeah,
Yes.
We're all adults. It's all good.
Yay. So I am the author of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series and some other series, and I'm just really glad to be here.
Yay! We're super glad to have you. I randomly texted you to see if you'd be interested in an interview, fully expecting no response whatsoever. So very happy to have you.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan. First of all, I really like, and no offense to the gentleman on the call, but I take very seriously supporting women, and I also believe in shooting your shot.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to be here.
Yay! So we stumbled across you for this podcast because of your new Romantasy book that you have out, but that's not the thing that you're mainly known for. Like the main thing I would say, if people know your name, it would be because of the BDB series.
Yes. But I'm committed to Kingdoms of the Compass, which is the Romantasy series. There are 4 books in it, and they're going to come out once a year. The next one comes out April 4th of next year, and it was actually a story that's 20 years old, but we can get into that later if you want. But I'm really happy to be able, because I think there's a lot of parallels between Romantasy and then what I've been doing with the BDB for 20 fucking years. So it seems like a natural kind of hop over.
Absolutely. Well, we can get into Crown of War and Shadow now, because we recently read the book. I read it twice. I very much enjoyed it. And I know I think I'm the biggest fan of your stuff, of the 4 of us. So I've heard how that book came about, but I think a lot of our listeners don't necessarily know the origin story. So how did you decide to do Crown of War and Shadow? How did the Romantasy jump come about?
Well, so I always wrote just as a hobby. And then my now husband, then boyfriend, was like, he'd find these partials and he's like, this is a real book. And I'm like, I'm never going to be published. And this was back in the Stone Ages when there wasn't the internet and I didn't know any authors and I was a lawyer. And I'm like, this is just what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And I'm perfectly fine with it. And miraculously, I got an offer and I had my first 4 books come out under the name Jessica Bird, and they were kind of written in the Nora Roberts traditional romance style. And of course, you have to start somewhere, but if people are going to read a Nora Roberts book, they're going to read a Nora Roberts book. Mm-hmm. And so I got shit canned by my publisher, which was the right thing for them to do, because although the books were critically well acclaimed, they weren't selling as well as they had to. So I was trying desperately not to be a lawyer for the rest of my life. And my agent at the time said, you need to figure out what a Jessica Bird book is. J.R. Ward, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I sat there for 2 weeks, and the way it works for me is I have pictures in my head, and I just am their secretary. I'm not even an executive assistant. I am a secretary, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just describe what I'm being shown, such that if I do my job correctly, the readers can read the words and see the pictures that I'm seeing. The only influence I have over the stories is the scenes don't come in chronological order. So my job is to kind of put them in a chronological order and kind of figure out how those pieces fit together. But other than that, I have no influence over anything. I don't create anything. I'm not a creative person. I'm not smart enough to think of these books. I just am watching movies in my head and typing. And so when I sent the Black Dagger Brotherhood off, I was like, well, it's never going to get picked up. Because back then it was quite extreme, with the hero getting the heroine's name carved in his back at the wedding ceremony and the mating ceremony. And I was like, well, it's never ever going to be published. So while I was waiting to hear back, I had a vision for people sitting around in a medieval stone turret. And they were all sort of cloaked, and there was a compass in the center. And so I was like, well, I I'm kind of the first reader to these things. So I was like, well, I want to know what this is about. And so the Kingdom of the Compass series kind of like landed there. And then I found out that the Black Dagger Brotherhood was going to be published, and I got a 3-book contract. And so I kind of shelved it. And so 2 years ago, I had a little space in my schedule, and my agent said, you don't have anything that could, maybe appeal to the romantasy market. And I said, actually, I have
Funny
this thing.
story.
Funny story. And so I took the old outline out. It was on those 3.5-inch floppy disks that were
Yes, I
actually
remember
hard
those.
and plastic. Yes. And so I found it, and I reworked it so that it would work from a first person point of view. And I, was fortunate enough to get a 4-book contract on the idea. And I love I will say the romantasies are really hard to write. The Black Dagger Brotherhood is really, really, really hard to write, but I've been in it and I know what I'm doing, after 2 decades of it. So I kind of know, but figuring out how to do first person in that environment, figuring out what, because you're putting out a commercial product. It's not just something for me to consume. So you have it's not that you are writing to the market, you're just writing with an awareness of, within the pictures in my head, what are the pictures and the storylines that are going to most appeal to the readers. And so that's how it came about.
Awesome. So it's just funny that you describe, because I've heard you describe that before, that you kind of see the whole picture in your head. Because I know that's one of the things we talked about when we read the book. I think Ash mentioned it, that it felt very like cinematic.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
word.
That's
that
how
felt
I
like
felt.
a movie.
That's how. Yeah. And particularly when they're in the Lake of Lost Souls, but they don't know it. She doesn't know it. And they're in those boulders, and you see this like just dehydrated land all around at the bottom of this basin, and you see the big the big black bird of prey coming after her, and the horses and the knife, and it's just all very, and the vistas, and the different, like the ruins, and then the castles and the village, and the travel roads and everything, and the beasts, and it's all very, that's one of the fun things about writing romantasy, is that you get to go to these really cool, fun places.
Right. Now, I know, and you can say as much or as little, as you want to say about this, but I know, like with Black Dagger Brotherhood, it tends to, you have an overarching story, but you have like main characters, and it's not always the same main characters in every book. Is it going to be like that for this series? Is it going to be jumping around with different main characters?
So the second book, we're still with Surreal and Merc. And then the third book, we're with someone else. And the fourth book, we're with someone else. Okay. But it's all in the same world, in the same conflict, within the same, it's not anything new in that regard. We're still fighting the bad guy, the same bad guy.
Exciting. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it. I will be reading it as they come out, for sure.
I'm very grateful.
Do you guys have any questions about Carnivore and Shadow before we jump into anything else, guys?
I don't. Ashley may.
I do?
I thought you did.
I mean, I have questions all over the place, but I don't know that it's specific to the Romantasy book itself.
Okay.
Oh, well, listen, just ask me. Well, I'm sorry. I'm happy to not take over this podcast and sit here and I will wait patiently.
No, absolutely. Feel free to take over. I would say, jumping to the Black Dagger Brotherhood series, for people who don't know anything about it, what would you tell them that it is for newbies?
That unless you're ready to, actually, my publisher would kill me if I say that. I was like, well, unless you're ready to go down a 23-book black hole from which you will not emerge unscathed.
Emotional damage.
Yeah, right. Emotional damage. So I'm like, no, you should avoid it. Like, those are hours of your life you will not get back. My publisher will not like me to say that. It's the thing that I love most about it is that in modern life, outside of romantic suspense where like there's someone trying to kill you, okay? Modern life doesn't have a lot of the kind of visceral conflict and deadly stakes
Mm-hmm.
and deadly conflict that you have in a world populated by vampires fighting an immortal enemy.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think is the reason why it appeals to people, although I feel weird hyping up my own stuff, is because within the context of vampires with fangs and world building and this war, very human emotions come out through these vampires. And over the last 20 years, I have been struck by the number of people who were like, oh, you covered this in the book, and that's part of my story. And, you covered, that they lived this, and that's part of my story. And, whether it's addiction or trauma or,
Living with disabilities.
living with disabilities, family problems. I have always been struck by the number of people who say, I have seen myself in these books. And I've always been very grateful for that, because I think when someone comes forward and tells you about the things that hurt them most or the things that they feel weakest about, that's an intimacy among what otherwise would be strangers. That's a very sacred space.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why I love doing events and talking to readers, fans, and the fandom, and those are three different subsets of people who read the books, and they're not the same necessarily, is I love the joking. Like, I will do almost anything for a laugh. Like, I want to lead with humor always, because life is fucking hard enough. But when someone welcomes you into those very sacred, vulnerable spaces, it's an honor. And it only happened because these pictures showed up in my head 20 years ago. And I feel like I'm one of the luckiest people. Fuck Powerball. I'm one of the luckiest people I know, because these pictures and my ability to write about them have given me a whole community to be a part of. Because I don't feel like I lead it. I don't lead it. The fandom and the fans and the readers, it's their community, and I'm a member of it, is how I always see it.
Nice. Well, I'm one of those weirdos who loved vampire books growing up, like loved them, and somehow managed to completely miss all your books through the 90s and 2000s. And I did not discover you till last year. And I was
Really?
like, 20 something books, sign me up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
You should have seen the checking account for that one.
I first heard about your book through a YouTuber who does books about incorporating disabilities and whatnot. And so, I first heard about it through there, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then I heard about the TV show, and I'm like, well, if I'm going to watch a TV show, I should read it first. And just hooked from there on out. Like these books, I would have loved them in the 90s. I don't know what rock I was living under that I didn't know these books existed. But if you were like a 90s goth kid, this is your chance.
Yeah. I agree.
The stories that you tell, what you just shared with us about, like, people coming to you and telling you about how these stories maybe spoke to them. Like, I had the exact moment in an adjacent story that you wrote, not an adjacent, but a different, you wrote a different genre. But let me tell you, you hit the nail on the head, right down to almost exact stories that I experienced in high school. I was blown away. Like, I thought, how the fuck does she know? Like,
I don't know where I'm honored, and I don't mean to cut you off. Please continue. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
Oh, no. Go ahead.
I think that the human condition, if people drop the bullshit and connect on honest emotion and honesty about themselves, as long as you're not a fucking asshole.
Right.
I think that that's really where people can forge bonds, even if, like, my lived experience is different than yours. And I don't know where the stories come from in my head. My best friend is a leukemia survivor, and she read Lover Eternal. And because Mary has leukemia in that book, she emailed me and said, this was 20 years ago, and was like, I just want to let you know that this really, as a survivor, I'm amazed at at how you do. I'm very careful with what I do, and I don't, a lot of the things that are in the books I haven't lived myself, but I think if you talk to people and you want to know their stories and you want to be with them and to share, listen to what they have to say about themselves, the only thing I can think of is there must be some sort of, I don't know, in my head, I remember a lot of conversations I've had with people that have gone in a lot of directions that are very deep, and it has to come out of that. I don't know where, and I'm always very careful, by the way, that I'm very respectful, that I don't portray myself as something I'm not. You know what I mean? That
I think you do a really good job with the Black Dagger Brotherhood series with multiple different conditions and disabilities and things that people are living with in there, that at no point is that their only defining characteristic of that character. Like she's not just a leukemia survivor, it's not just a blind person,
for sure,
or whatever. Like, it's people who are fully fledged and have all sorts of things going on, and also happen to have, whatever, an amputated leg,
Yeah. One of my dear friends is paralyzed from the waist down, and she is one of the strongest people I know. And not because she overcame a disability. It's because she's a fucking badass who rock climbs and does sled hockey, and she lives out loud, and she's a spectacular athlete and one of the strongest, smartest people I've ever met in my life. And I knew her after I'd written a number of the books, and I was like, she's a badass, Yeah. And with the fact that she's done all that with some of the physical challenges she's been through, I'm a fucking wuss compared to her. And I have such great respect and regard for people who are just badasses,
Absolutely. So, Jonathan, you read one of her books that I haven't read, right? You read, was it St. Ambrose School for Girls?
Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorite books ever. Oh my God.
It was, I'm going to be candid here. Mari loves you. 1,000%. Her heart rate.
I'm not being parasocial here. I love your work. I don't know you. I love your work.
Yeah. She fan.
Yeah.
100%. So and sometimes when we go through books, I try to explore and figure out, are there other things that the author wrote that become more appealing to me? And when I went down the rabbit hole, I was like, hey, there's a lot of JR's got a lot of shit. He's got a lot of stuff going on. And I came across this book, and I thought, I just want to get a little bit outside of what we were doing and start, maybe I have enough time to read this book over the next few days. And I started it, and then I just didn't put it fucking down. And I was like, holy shit, right down to medicated, right?
Yeah.
The experiences that I had. So I had a slightly different, I was sort of misdiagnosed, but I was hit with this. And the flag football or the touch football situation, right down to, I remember just being in that space and just having to deal with that, navigate that peer situation.
Yeah.
But I think what really sealed the deal for me is, and Ashley could chime in on this, when people send me an email, Ashley, what's the fastest way for me to archive that email?
If you're CC'd.
No, well, that too, yeah. If I'm CC'd. But in the body of the email, it comes down to punctuation. It's just how my mind works. Oftentimes I'll get in trouble at work. And it's like, they didn't ask me a question. There's a period at the end of that. So when your character is reading this flyer and they're like, something's up, this punctuation is off. I can promise you, earlier today, I said to a colleague, I said, this is possessive plural. We need to put the apostrophe after the S. And I'm fairly, and I said, I'm anxious because we're going to share this document out. Somebody's going to change that on me, and I'm not going to like that, but I have to live with it, kind of thing. So that detail, that level of detail for your character to pick up on that, I was like, holy shit. It just hit so hard. And it was great to see that sort of representation. I'm not gonna lie, like I'm hoping to hear more about in that vein. I want to know what's going to happen with Sarah and Strauss, and I want to know.
Well, so there's actually a second book in there, which I want to be able to write. I'm gonna have to. I don't know how to fit it in, but she goes to college. And if you think what happened at St. Ambrose was fucked up, it is nothing compared to what happens at college. You see, I one of the things that I loved about Sarah, and I think because I've got an odd mind that gets me, that these kind of was really hard to handle my brain when I was younger. And the thing that Sarah's greatest strength is also what makes her feel so separated from everybody else, because her brain is almost like not almost, her brain is another character in the book,
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens in college is really fucked up, and it's fantastic. Oh, I want to write that book so badly. I might have to like, you're re-enervating me for that whole series.
Oh, listen, I'm excited. I've got goosebumps because it is, when you said that her brain is a whole different, like, I'm telling you, you're fucking gaslighting me through this story. At some point I had to let go and just let your words come to me, because it was, I'm trying to, like, I have this like analytical brain. I want to figure it out. And
Yeah.
I got about halfway through it and I was like, is this,
you're
you're
looking for patterns. You're like,
yes.
your little brain is like, where's the pattern? Where's the pattern? Tap, 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 tap. Where's the vein? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got to let go. Just let loose. Let her run straight and true, and you took me on a fucking ride. Man.
Well, and the end, and the scene with Strauss in Strauss's room.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite scenes I've ever written.
Emotional.
When she's like but when she's like, basically reality is what you tell your brain it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not actually what it is. So this is what happened. Shut up. And I loved it. I loved it. Loved it. I'm not going to get in too far, but
I was excited for it. I'm so glad that it went the way it went, and I'm looking forward to her post-secondary education.
And Strauss is one of my favorite characters ever.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I thought for sure I was walking face first into like an Othello. And
Sure.
I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, what a fucking journey. What a highly recommended.
And for context, he devoured this. Like, I didn't even know. So Jonathan prefers audiobooks, right? To read in companionship with physical books.
Yeah.
So if there's not an audiobook, we're definitely not, like, we had to watch a movie the other week that had subtitles and he just watched it for context. So like he needs the audio part of it. So I didn't even know he downloaded this book, because you return the dates so quickly that I was just like, I'm screwed. I'm not going to be able to get a book in. And other than, of course, the Romantasy that we read.
Yeah.
And then by Saturday morning, we were driving somewhere and he's like, babe, I can't talk to you right now. I got 15 minutes left in this book. I have to finish it. And come to find out, he had binged your book in like a 24-hour period.
From like 4:30 a.m. until
oh my god!
I wake up at like 4 a.m. I'm robotic in that sense, where I got
I mean, so that's reasonable. He has a bit more time in his day than I do as a person who likes to sleep in and really just sleep the day away. But like, to devour an audiobook, even at the speeds that he does, which are abnormal. That's true. He can do 2-3 times the speed.
I slowed her down to speed.
I know.
I wanted
her to appreciate the level of like.
I'm really
obsession.
honored, though, and also, I'm really honored, because that is really so. The way that came up was I had a dream of her coming out of the water, and I was like, it's a long story, but I had this vision of Sarah. And I was like, who the fuck? I'm screwed. I saw her and I was like, I had to say, no, you can't. Listen, brain, we're not going there. We're over here. And it just refused. And so I wrote the book in 3 weeks. It just poured onto the page in between. And I was waking. So I'm an early riser as well. And I was getting up and just like working for 3 hours in the morning before the rest of my work. And then one afternoon, I just finished it, and it just poured out of me. And I was amazed that Gallery was willing to print it, because it's not part of my normal, it's it's not paranormal romance. It's not even romance at all. So I'm so glad you liked it, because that's like, it was a book of my heart. I hate using that phrase, but it also is true for that and Dark Lover and also Crown. So I'm very grateful.
I appreciate you for that. That was a delightful treat. I'm gonna be honest here.
Yeah, because when I told everybody like that you'd be able to record, and when I fully like there was no expectation for anyone to read any more books than the one we had read. And then Jonathan said he read that. I'm like, you did what?
Yeah. Like osmosis, like he devoured it. It was so wonderful to watch, because it's hit or miss for him, right? But not especially as a boy, but like in this for genre even. So I literally woke up and he was like, "Yeah, I finished this book." I was like, "What do you mean? When did you even start it? That's not a reasonable amount of time to devour a book, sir."
Sir. But yeah, no, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful. I really am, because I love Sarah, and I'd love to now. See, now the other problem that I have is, like, even now, like all of a sudden the pictures will get in the way. Like all of a sudden I'm starting to have pictures of her in college as I'm talking to you guys, and I have to tell my brain, no, we're not doing that now. And so my husband will like, sorry, brain. No, we have to like, and I often, I think I experience like my brain's like this other thing. Cause like every once in a while, something will get stuck and I'll be like, all right, I have to tell it, no, we're not doing this. It's like, and sometimes it just, the distraction is so like for the pictures and the worlds in my head. And my husband will find like the milk in the cupboard and the saran wrap in the refrigerator. And there's like, there's just the, debris field all over everything. And he's like, "Oh, sweetie." I'm like, "I know, I'm sorry, I can't." So yeah.
Gives you amazing like works of art.
It's never,
and I do nothing.
Oh no, that's not true. I'm sure. Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. No, I'm sure that's not true.
Yeah, so we've talked Black Dagger Brotherhood, we've talked Crown of War and Shadow.
Can you read Black Dagger Brotherhood is it chronological, or do any of them stand alone?
So the great thing about the Jack Reacher series is, or written by Lee Child, is that Reacher is the same guy every single book. So you can read the 5th book and the 12th book and the 1st book and the 4th book. And he as we say, Jack Reacher learns nothing. He evolves in no way whatsoever. It's the external world, and he hits the external world, and that's where all the conflict comes from. The Black Dagger Brotherhood, one of the, I guess you could say, defects in that series is that it is one of those things that you can absolutely read them standing alone, 100%, but they do have hooks. So they kind of run one into another, and that is not a calculation on my part. It's just the way my brain saw things when it was happening. Like all the pictures, it all runs together. Like these people live their lives, and their lives continue on even after their books are finished, which is why, like, you've got Lover Eternal and then The Beast, you've got Dark Lover and then The King. Like there's like other stories that happen in other books to the characters, in addition to new people coming in. And so you can absolutely read them, and particularly the books that are coming out now that are about the next generation. I had to do the next generation because, one of the things now that I'm an old fart that I've learned is that everything has a beginning, middle, and an end, And at some point, I will write my last Black Dagger Brotherhood book. I will sign my last book. I will do my last event. I don't know when that happens, and I hope it's many, many years from now. But I didn't want to stop the series before I had shown where the kids end up as adults. Because, like, these vampires live so long, and so it's not as if we're dealing with Wrath as an old fart. You know what I mean? But I thought that it was important to give the complete picture of everything. And I do know the last scene of the entire series. That's already come to me.
Ooh.
I know that there will be a last book at some point. I mean, I've still got if I do one a year, I've got another 10 years ahead of me, probably. and that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. But eventually, yes. So the long-winded answer is you can read them one after another, or you can kind of hop on a Dark Lover and see when you collapse, really, because it's a glitch. And or you can also hop in, like if you get to Lassiter, or you can just hop on at Lassiter and just read the last couple of books,
Mhm.
I'm between Savior and Sinner right now, so I'm doing the Blood Truth Legacy. Like I'm on book 4 of that.
Yeah. That was fun. That was fun. I loved that.
And there's also the TV show, Jonathan. So if you just wanted to watch the TV show, season 1 is book 1. Season 2 is coming out. Is there a date for when season 2 is
It's going to be this fall,
Okay.
and we are in our 3rd week of shooting right now, season 2. And the fun that I've had such a great experience. The cast is amazing. It was pretty fucking weird seeing these people step at so I had, the reason why I waited so long to do it is because I had been approached by a number of people who were heavy hitters in Hollywood, but my concern always was, because it is a going concern and it has such a devoted fandom, I was like, unless I have some control over what this looks like, I'm going to fuck myself really hard and people are going to be pissed.
Yeah.
And so I waited, and Passionflix has a reputation for sticking with the book. And so I was lucky in that I got casting approval, director approval, and script approval. And so that meant from the jump, I had the ability to really put the brakes on and see it, make sure that you're literally watching a scene, not unlike the way you hear an audio book. You're literally watching a scene right out of the fucking book. And of course, you can't put every scene in there. And there are a lot of things that require a lot of words to impart to a reader, but that you can create through ambiance and music. You can get feelings in people with relatively few spoken words, comparatively speaking, to a book dialogue. So I learned a lot about, just how people make movies, and that's super fun. And I've got a great partner, and the joking thing is that when we're shooting, I get texts all the time from Tosca, and it's these little tiny details about things, and like, okay, wait, is this right? Does John Matthews' bracelet, does it look like this? What are Zeus' scars look like on his back? Like, are these contacts the right color? And like, so I'm having a wonderful time, and I'm
And like
very
super
lucky, and I'm
fans are
very
going to
grateful.
appreciate that. Like I'm just on my first read through.
for
I don't
sure.
consider myself a super fan, but like people who've like read these since the 90s, they're gonna
Yes.
be like, oh, they
Yes.
got this right. They did this the exact
Yeah.
way. So
Well, and so that was one of the funny things when we finally got the rough cut. I'm sorry I interrupted you,
No.
but so we finally got the rough cut of the first 6 episodes of the first season. Because originally she was just going to do 3 episodes, and then there was just so much stuff that was like cool that we wanted to shoot. She's like, all right, we're going to blow this up. We're going to do 6 episodes, whatever. And so my best friend and I, we got the rough cut. And I was like, my Biffle, you have to come and watch this with me. And so we sat downstairs on the sofa and we got it up on the television. And just as the opening credits start to come, all I was thinking about was, please don't let me have shit the bed. Please let me have not shit the bed. Because I had seen a lot of daily stuff from set and stuff, but you never know until you really get in there. And I was like, oh my God, what happens next? What happens next? What are they going to? And my best friend was like, you wrote this. What are you talking about? I was like, I know, but it's so I got totally sucked in. And as always, I figure if I got sucked in, then chances are probably pretty good that other people will too.
Absolutely. I gotta say, as I was getting into Black Dagger Brotherhood last year, one of the things that I enjoyed while reading the first book before the TV show came out was all the little TikTok videos and things of you meeting the cast.
Oh my God.
All done up in costume.
Oh my God. So when I met the first person I met was Robert Masser, who plays Wrath. And bear in mind, I had approved, the black suit that he was, because the date night scene was that we were shooting when I was on set. So I had approved his wig, the contacts, the glasses, the boots, the black suit. Like I knew what he looked like. And they brought him we were shooting in this house, and they brought him up to where the porch, and there were some steps down. And they brought me out, and this poor man is standing there. He doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. I mean, I had seen his audition. I was like, yeah, that's fucking Wrath right there. And I saw him, took one look at him, and then all of a sudden my brain went, nope, 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 nope. And my body was moving to the cadence of the noping, like the llama
Aw.
meme when you see him going nope, 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 and the llama's going. All of a sudden, I am like moving across and away. And part of my thing is like, you're being filmed now, so let's not make a total ass out of ourselves. And the second thing was, I was like, I'm really weirding this poor man out right now. And the third thing was, oh my God, that thing that has been living in my brain for 20 years is now standing in front of me, breathing and looking at me. I mean, it was just and Sia Zami, who plays Vicious, his audition for Vicious was so spot on. He did it with the goatee and the black glove. He was uber prepared for it. He'd gone into the book and everything, and his voice is so low that they had to remodulate it in post-production because you couldn't hear it correctly. Like it was, and then Andrew Bernot, who plays Zadist, I made it 20 seconds into his audition and I couldn't watch. I shut it down. He was so much like Zadist. I was like, I can't see this. So it's been a wonderful thing. I'm very lucky. And it has a huge fandom across the world. It was amazing. The response to that coming out was unbelievable. We crashed the Passionflix website and people could access it through Amazon, but the app, we crashed the app. It was just fucking nutty, and it was great, and people love it. And yeah, I'm really lucky.
It was a great time watching it. So
Yeah, I loved it too.
So we're recording this on, just for people, on the 30th of March. Today was the day that tickets dropped for Cincy, right?
Yeah.
I've never been to that. Tell us what that is.
So holy shit. Oh God. So we've already sold out a Friday, and now we've got this problem. So it is Friday night. We're getting together with members of the cast, and we're going to do a Q&A for about an hour, and then we're going to let everyone take pictures with the cast. And we are curtailed to some degree for how much time we've got to take these pictures. So we were like, okay, 500 people. We know how many people we can move through with pictures of that. We sold out within, I don't know, 2 hours. It's gone.
Wow.
It's all gone. And then I was like, oh shit. So now we're trying, and it's a good problem to have because I want as many people to go as want to go. We are trying to figure out how we can somehow, within the allotted time that we've got, fit more people in. So we're working on that. Then Saturday, starting at 11, I'm doing my actual part of the weekend, which is we have 1,000 people who come, and they basically lob tomatoes at me for about 2 hours. And it is the best. It is the most fun I ever have. It is my favorite thing that I look forward to every year because I love a good joke, and I love the fact that the readers are so passionate about the stories and the brothers and everything. And it is so much fun for me. And I just love. I love that. It's my favorite thing ever. Then we have, after that, we're going to take a break for a couple of hours. We're also having a picture with me. And then we are going to have a dance party, which we've never done before. And Tony and the Tan Lines. Yes, Tony and the Tan Lines are my favorite 80s cover band. And they all pretend that they are cheesy 1980s guys who would be on the Love Boat and women. And they are so good. And they have a sax player, and it's just this great band. And so I'm going to be down there making a jackass out of myself. And we're just going to have people come in Halloween costumes and cosplay and come as you are. And we'll have snacks in an open bar. And it's just going to be a party, a big old party. And that's what it is.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm serious. It's just God, it's so much fun. And I'm really lucky. I know I keep saying that, and people are like, oh yeah, well, if you work hard, you can get lucky. I know a lot of writers that are better writers than I am. And I know writers that are every bit as passionate about their stories as I am about mine. And how I'm this lucky to have found all these people who want to read my books, I don't know. I just know that I'm really grateful, and I don't take it for granted. I didn't take it for granted 20 years ago. I don't take it for granted now. And I just try and write the very best book I can with what is being shown to me. And I just am so grateful for everybody.
And we appreciate it. keep them coming.
God willing, I will. Yeah.
Last year, you had I couldn't remember, I think it was a November event in Orlando. That's where I met you.
Oh, yes. We're doing it again.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yes. I want to say, I'm probably going to get the date wrong, but it's mid-November. I want to say it's like November 17th. It's, we're going to have it down there, and it's going to be, I loved going to Orlando. It was a great crowd. It was super fun. And yeah, I'm so excited.
Is it going to be in the same theater? Do you know? Or?
Yes, I think
Awesome.
I think we're going to try and do it in the same, because that was just a really great place. It was really nice. It fit a good crowd, and the problem is we sold out of that too. So if we do move, it'll just be super fast. So we may try and open it up a little bit, and then I'll be at a Polycon in about a month. And then I have my Saratoga event in July, which is always the Saturday after the 4th of July. And then Cincy, and then,
awesome.
And then Orlando.
Awesome. Well, if any listeners live in any of those areas, that's where you can come and go to any of those events for sure.
Yay!
Any questions and you guys want to bring up?
Yeah. So aside from the obvious connection with the last name, the nickname, The Warden.
Oh, yeah. Well, so this started out with a message board that we did 20 years ago. And someone started to call me the warden, like I was the warden, and they were in the cells. And so they were known as cellies for years. And so that's where it started. And some of the OG fans are like, I'm still a proud cellie. And so they call me the warden, which is great. And the reason why my team is called Team WAD is because the joke is I have a terrible signature. I have two signatures, one where you'll see J.R. Ward, and then one which is basically JWD. And for years, it just looked like I was putting WAD, J.R. Wad there. And so they called it, we've been calling them J.R. Wad for years. So that's kind of funny.
So you mentioned luck, but you did work really hard through life.
That's true. That's true.
Your education, your background it's tremendous. It's nothing to gloss over, and it's dramatic. The work that you did prior to writing is kind of that aligns with what Ashley and I do today.
Really?
But, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're definitely in that field as a profession. What was the catalyst? We're not lawyers, but we work in healthcare admin.
Yeah.
What was the catalyst? Like, what was the moment that you were like, all right, I've done this, and it's been real, it's been fun, but what's the catalyst that made you stoke that flame to lead and venture off in this new direction, or maybe not new, but that you released into this?
So I wrote my first story when I was 7 years old.
Wow.
And I still have it. It's called George and the Dragon. And what's interesting about it is it had a narrative structure to it. It had characters, it had conflict. And at 7 years old, so this is just what my brain does. It's what my mom calls my software. It came preloaded. And so it's like someone who's got an affinity for math. It's not anything that is, I don't have any control over it. It's just literally like the color of my eyes or my hair. It just is what it is. And I fell in love with Harlequin romances, Harlequin Presents, when I was in my teens. And Joanna Lindsay and Elizabeth Lowell. And that's what I read, that and Stephen King. And my mom always used to say, you should try and write, a romance. You should try this. And I said, absolutely not, Mother. I have to go make a living. I need to go be, I'm going to college, and then I need to be serious. And so, of course, I went to college and got a double major in history and art history with a medieval concentration in both, because that translates so well into guaranteed employment on the other side of college. So I said, Mom, I got to go to law school because I got to make a living. I got to take care of myself, because I never thought I'd get married. I was never, that was never a thing for me. I was never into kids. I wanted to take care of myself, and then I wanted to be out in the world as a business person. And so I went to law school. And when I got out of law school, I started out at Tustin Medical Center, and I was there for 2 years. And I don't drink, I don't smoke, I'm not really social. I was always into running and athletics and stuff, but I would go home after I worked long days, and on the weekends I would write stories, and that's just what I did. And then I remember walking down by the Common. It was November around Thanksgiving, and it was cold. And I was walking towards Beacon Hill, Charles Street, where I lived off of Charles Street. And I looked around at this bracing cold night that surrounded me. And I thought, if this is all there is to life, I'm so okay with it. I'm so okay with never getting married and never having kids. And I love my job. I love this writing thing that I do that's never going to go anywhere. I love my family. I love Boston. I had this moment of ringing clarity. And then, of course, I was set up on a blind date and I met Neville. And I opened up the door, took one look at him, and I was like, he's a piece of ass. And you know, I know. And I was like, great. So that was my plan. And Neville and I went out on New Year's Day in 97 or 98. We can't remember which year it was because my diary didn't put the year in it. And it was a very cold day. And we went to have a bite to eat. And he said he can remember sitting across from me and thinking, holy shit, I'm going to marry this woman.
Oh.
So he was the one who, as I said, read these, partials, said this is a book, and he had an in with an agent. I was at that time chief of staff of Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, which is one of Harvard's academic medical centers. And I was working huge long hours, leaving the house, getting my workout in, working 7 to 7, 7 to 8 every day. But I was able to carve out like a business meeting, an hour in the morning to just write. And then I wrote all weekend long. And that's what I did for all these things. And then when I got my contract, I was like, okay, now I've got deadlines. So I just made sure that I worked when I could work and then worked all weekend long. And I did it for, 2 years or so, and got a couple books in the pipeline. And then Neville and I got married, and literally after we got married, came back from the honeymoon, sitting down to the table at our lovely condo in Cambridge. And he looked at me and said, I no longer know what I'm doing in Boston. And I dropped my fork and said, I am not moving to Kentucky, which is where he's from. And we all know what happened there. But to be honest with you, I mean, I was working 7 days a week, really long hours, and I was getting tired. Yeah. I had been doing that for almost a decade at that point, and I loved working at the hospitals. I loved what I was doing, but it was, healthcare is, as you all know, a very challenging environment. Managed care was just coming in at that point. Bethesda Deaconess had gone through a merger, and there were, financial things that needed to be ironed out, and there's always stuff going on at hospitals, and so the stress was really aging me. It was really grinding me up. And so eventually I thought, I was like, I now have this contract for writing. And I thought, well, the contract dollars will go further in Kentucky than they will in Boston. If he really wants to move back where, his heart is, because this community in Louisville is his heart and soul. I was like, okay. I was like, so we moved down here, and I promptly got shit canned by my publisher. And I was like, well, this worked out great. And I was like, holy shit, I'm going to have to take the Kentucky bar, and I'm going to be a lawyer for the rest of my life. And that was when Dark Lover came to me. And then I was off to the races. And so the transition, really, I did both for 2 or 3 years. And still, even to this day, I still work 7 days a week. There are no vacations. There's no sick days. I mean, unless I'm, getting teeth removed or I'm throwing up. I always work. No excuses, no whining. And, I'm the luckiest person in the world because I get to do what I love for a living. And I get to be with my dogs and my kid and which I P.S. never thought I'd have one of those. So that was another surprise. So I had all kinds of plans and patterns, and they all got shit canned. And I've had a wonderful time, and I want to continue. I'm still as all in, even after all these years. I'm still fascinated with the books that come out of my head. I'm still excited to start working. Even the worst day writing is still the best day doing anything else.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's exciting. And it's impactful even across whether people acknowledge it or not, even across professional environments today. I can't tell you the connection that I'm able to make cross country with colleagues over Romantasy.
Oh, really? No
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, people are excited to talk about what they read about, and
yeah.
And sometimes it comes out of left field when the boy on the other side of the team's meeting is in the.
You're like, I love
gets to
Sarah
join the
J.
mix.
Maas too. Yeah. I can't wait for 6 and 7 to come out. Yeah.
I can wait.
See, Ash and I started reading these books.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to, and please excuse me, I didn't mean to disrespect people. I was using that as an example. I was extrapolating. I'm not pushing her on you. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying,
sorry.
No, it's okay.
Ash and I started reading
recognizes
these
the
books,
cult.
then we pulled the guys into it. And I believe last time we talked about I think, Jonathan, you have as many books as Ash does now. Like, you guys are a dual,
We're
hardcore dual
That's
reader
awesome.
household now.
That's fantastic.
Fighting for bookshelf space.
So tell me, what do you like to read? Who do you read?
Who do I read? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm all over the place. I've been going down this sapphic journey lately.
Oh.
It's Romantasy has opened me. I used to just read leadership oriented, Brene Brown, Simon Sinek, Stephen Covey, all those good businessy things.
Yeah.
And then I think it was probably Ashley and Mari and another friend who was like, "Hey, you gotta read this dragony book." Rebecca Yarrow's Fourth Wing, and then we kind of went down that rabbit hole, and then Mari was like, "Hey, do you guys want to just start reading books and do a podcast?" And I was like, "You know what? Yeah, it sounds fun."
I gotta say, the podcast was Kelly's idea, though. Kelly pushed me to it. I would not have done the podcast thing if Kelly hadn't been like, "Do it. Just do it."
I think it's great. I love a good podcast, man. Yeah. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Oh, so on my desk right now, bottom up, I've got Julie Soto, Melissa Landers, Matt Dinneman's hanging out in there, Beth Durst, Rebecca's still on here. Heather Fawcett. I got to turn this around.
He has also learned to judge a book by its cover, and we are obsessed with just pretty books and sprayed edges.
Yes.
So that's become a new problem.
A new problem. Not an opportunity. No, it's a problem.
Because baseball cards you can put in a folder, right? And put them on the coffee table and have 6,000 of them. Yes. But to have 6,000 books, we might need to move this year. I don't know what we're going to do.
That's a problem. Yeah.
We are literally overflowing.
One of the things that I love about the Romantasy thing is that it goes against every grain of everything that anyone ever said, which is, younger generation doesn't read and they're not going to read hard physical books are dead. They said it in Ghostbusters, print is dead. Egon said that. So, and what I love is now that the books are they're like collectibles. And I love people collect different versions of the same book. And I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, we were just having that conversation this weekend. How every book that comes out, we have 3 versions. We get there's the Kindle version, the audio, and then the physical on top of that, and it compounds. And then when I find a set, I discovered there's some monster fuckery this year as well, which was very interesting, and then it landed me in a not trouble. But I was on a call, on a Teams meeting on camera, and there were some titles in the background that people had questions about. It just opened the door to other conversations. It's all, but made it very interesting. And I'm very content with having the collection of books. I understand Mari's TBR woes all of a sudden.
The struggle is real.
Yes.
The struggle is real.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If I have a niece, and my niece is discovering writing. We try to foster that. She's actually she's 5'6". She's a bonus niece. We'll say. So it's not that I'm a poor uncle where I'm not paying attention now.
Yeah.
Right.
So sometimes I'll trade her. I'll recycle materials and like bind her a journal. And the trade off is at the next holiday I'd like to hear a story.
Yeah.
And how do we continue to? What advice do you give the 6-year-old to keep pressing forward, even if she's almost uncommon amongst what's popular with her peers?
You mean in terms of what her hobbies and interests are with her peers, or what do you mean? Like,
how do we keep her writing and feed her her desire to write?
What I found in a lot of the writers that I know is you can't stop it.
Ooh.
Most of the people that I know who write have to write. It's like and maybe you could argue that my representative sample is skewed because I that's my profession, so I know a lot of writers. But in my experience, writers have to write. And so I love the idea of you saying, okay, I'll give you this and you've got to give me a story, because it gives her, for children, adult attention is weighted space. It's weighted. It's more important to her at her age, at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, until they become teenagers. And even in teenagers, adult attention and focus is such an important thing for kids. And she'll rise to meet that prompt. And I think you all sound like very supportive, kind people, because your questions are supportive. And I think most people who like books and are real book people, you know what I mean, tend to have an interest in humanity, because we read to learn more about ourselves and learn about other people and think about things. And so I think the extent to which you can open that space for her and hold it for her, I think that's what you need to do. And then also at some point, her inner critic is going to wake up and tell her she's writing crap. And that's the real challenge and that's where those writers that have that kind of obsessional thing where they have to do it, that's what gets most people I know over that inner critic when it starts to kick in. Oh, you write shit. And now I have days where I'm like, okay, you've written shit today. And I'm like, yeah, well, it's not like I got a B plan. I'm still going to be at it tomorrow. I'm going to write shit tomorrow, and I think that as depending on what her goals are, I think, dealing with that inner critic is something that everyone has to kind of come to terms with at some point. But the first and most important thing is the love of it, the need to do it. And, I think the extent to which her family can help her see that what she does is worth reading, I think that will be the kind of support she needs.
Love that. I love the idea that you can't stop it.
No. No, not at all. At least in my experience.
I'm excited. I'm thrilled. I can't wait to see what's next.
Yay! Yay! What's your niece's name? Not last name, obviously, but her first name.
Gracie.
Mm-hmm. Tell Gracie from one author to another. I hope she keeps it up.
Oh, I hope so too. I think she gets like, what you mentioned about that desiring that level of attention. When she has a story that she wants to share, I mean, it's just, it's heartwarming. It's kind of like when you're at a family dinner table and she's poured her time and energy into writing. Oh, what a treat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, definitely give her my message if you can.
Absolutely.
We'll see her soon. So absolutely.
Yay.
I have one last question, maybe.
Yeah.
Up to you, of course. So a number of different pen names. Do they represent different personalities?
No, actually, I'm sorry, I was just going to joke. No, there's just one troll who types. No, that's it. It's just one. So Jessica Bird is my actual name, and so I figured just that was the name I used coming out of it. When it became clear that the vampires were going to be published, the way it works, especially back then, because there were no options for self-publishing really on the scale that there are now. For traditional publishing and for the accounts and everything, we needed to signal that this was not a Jessica Bird book, that this was a new thing. And one of the things that was really important to me was that my readers or anybody who wanted to read my books had as little barrier between them and the book as possible. So J.R. Ward was an easy to spell, unambiguous name. Ward's an old family name on my mom's side, and then Jessica Rowley that's one of my two middle names. And so that's where the J.R. Ward came. And it was meant to be something that if someone said, oh, what's that book by? Oh, the J.R. Ward, it was meant to be something, and it wasn't. And honestly, for it to be ambiguous about whether it's a man or a woman, that wasn't a thing. It was just literally just the initials. I just wanted to make it simple and easy. And then Jessica Ward was just, we didn't want to bring St. Ambrose School for Girls out under the J.R. Ward name because it really just didn't fit. And when you are an author like me with a big fan base and a lot of fans and a lot of readers, you don't want to not confusing. That seems disrespectful. I don't mean it to be like that. It just, for the market, you want to be like, okay, this is a J.R. Ward book. You know what that means after you've been reading them for a while.
Set expectations.
So we want, yes. And so Jessica Ward seems like a nice compromise between the two. And so that's where the names came from.
Wonderful. Thank you.
All right.
Well, thank you, you guys. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate
also, thank you for doing this over the phone so I didn't have to put the J.R. Ward hair and face on. I'm sitting here literally in my pink bathrobe and my box. I've got pink bathrobe and my flannel pajamas.
Yeah, it is pajama time through and through. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks so much, you guys. It was lovely. I really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
We appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.